Welcome back to the program. Well, when Lenore Skenazy wrote a newspaper column about letting her 9-year-old ride the subway alone in New York City, little did she realize that the response would spark a national movement. Her outspoken, common-sense approach to parenting galvanized a huge wave of supporters and a counterstorm of protest from others who dubbed her America's worst mom. That led her to write a book called Free Range Kids, giving our children the freedom we had without going nuts with worry. In this funny, fed-up book, Lenore encourages parents to let their kids be kids. She's all for helmets and car seats, but insists children do not need a security detail every time they go outside. Armed with stories, wisecracks, and a battery of facts, she gleefully punctures modern-day myths about rampant kidnapping, marauding germs, and poisoned Halloween candy. After exposing where these worries come from, she gives tips on how to break free with her 14 free-range commandments that include know when to worry, play dates and axe murderers, how to tell the difference, boycott baby knee pads, and the rest of the kitty-safe industrial complex. Relax, not every little thing you do has that much impact on your child's development. Well, the book reads like a conversation with your funniest, most honest friend. Readers will find themselves laughing out loud while shedding their fears. For anyone who remembers the days of walking to school, playing outside, or eating a kernel of unwrapped candy corn and longs to bring them back to childhood, this book is a must-read. Lenore Skenazy is a syndicated columnist, author, and public speaker. She's appeared on Dr. Phil, The View, The Today Show, Good Morning America, CBS Early Show. In addition to founding the Free Range Kids blog, book, and movement, she's written for everyone from the Washington Post to Mad Magazine. She's a graduate of Yale and Columbia and lives in New York City with her husband and 2 sons and joins me on the phone right now. Lenore, welcome to the program.
Welcome. I feel like I can retire. I was like, okay, that's everything.
That's
Mom,
pretty
you heard
much
it. I'm a success. Goodbye.
Well, you obviously knew when you wrote this for the New York Sun that you would get some reaction.
I knew I would get some reaction, but I've written columns for about, 6 or 7 years, and the reaction I generally get is, a couple of people write letters to the editor, and some are like, huzza, huzza, and some are like, why do you have her on your staff? And that's what I figured I would get this time. And the shocking thing to me was the night that I wrote it on a Tuesday, and it was in the paper, and that night I got a call from the Howard Stern show, which you may or may not be familiar with out there.
Oh, we are.
Okay, and it's like, gee, I'm not a stripper. Why is he calling? And then I also got a call from the Today Show, which is our, enormous
Sure.
NBC morning show. And that's when I realized, my God, this has struck some kind of weird nerve if it's attracting attention from across the board like that. And sure enough, it was the case. I mean, by the end of the week, I'd been on 4 television shows and radio, and that's when I started the Free Range Kids blog, because I really was shocked that so many people thought that I don't care about my kid at all. That's why I would just send him out to be killed, and that's the kind of mother I am. And I just wanted to explain, I really do love safety, and I actually love my kid. He's here right now eating soybeans. What could be healthier, okay? I'm like a healthy mom, right?
Yep.
But I trusted him. I trusted my city. I trusted the strangers. He might ask for help, and in fact, he did ask for help, and he got it. He was on the wrong side of the subway when he first got on, and they told him, no, go to the other side. And since then, he's ridden the subway many a time, and a couple of times he has been trailed off by guess who? Like middle-aged moms, just making sure he's okay. I mean, that's the public for you. Most of the public and most people are really, really nice.
Okay, well, take us back to when exactly did this happen?
This happened 2 years ago already. And,
2 years ago.
My son, who's sitting here hearing the story again, had been asking me and my husband for a couple of months, can I please take the subway by myself? Because we live in New York City and we are on the subway all the time. And so a request like that is probably something akin to a request in the suburbs of, can I please ride my bike to school? We've walked there together every day. Can I please do it by myself? So in this case, since we're on the subway, and he was familiar with it. He knows how to use the little cards that we call a Metro card. He knows how to read a map. But nonetheless, my husband sat him down with the subway map and made sure that he understood that, a different color refers to a different route and this and that. And then we said, okay, and we decided I would take him. So I took him to, on a sunny Sunday, up to Bloomingdale's, which is, the flagship store of the very fancy chain.
Mm-hmm.
And we went around and we looked at things and we talked to people. And then finally I said, okay, goodbye. And I left him in the handbag department because it's a little amusing because it's sort of like a forgetful Auntie Mame type person. But also because I thought, you leave the handbag department and you are at the subway station. You go out the door and there's the subway. And so sure enough, he went out the door and there was a subway. And in fact, he got on the wrong side, like I said, and he asked somebody, is this the downtown side? And they said no. And so he went upstairs and got himself to the correct side. Not that he's a genius, but that it's easy and that kids have been doing this for generations. And then he took himself down a couple of stops to 34th Street. And then he took a bus across 34th Street because we live at the end of the bus line. And that was it. He showed up very, very proud. He felt, what'd you say? Is he felt grown up or finally or grown up? He says.
Okay, so he took a subway. He had to make a connection to a bus.
Right.
Did he have to wait very long for the bus after the subway?
Oh, I've never even asked that. Did you have to wait a long time for the bus? Always. He speaks the truth. He said always. It is. It's a horrible bus line. It runs like once every 20 minutes.
Okay, so he had to wait for the bus.
He had to wait for the bus. Remember, it's a sunny Sunday on 34th Street, which is so famous that there's a movie about it. Miracle on 34th Street. So I guess he waited at the bus stop.
Yeah.
Probably with some other people, and then he hopped on and got himself home.
Okay, so he was 9 years old. Now, did you arm him with anything? Did he have a cell phone? Did he have...
He didn't have a cell phone then because, as I wrote in my original article, I was certain that he would get himself home, but I was less sure he would get his cell phone home, because he's a little absent-minded. What he did have was quarters to make a phone call if he needed to. He had $20 for an emergency. He had a map, and he had a Metro card, which is the transit card.
Okay, so quarters, $20, and a map.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's it. And he made it safely home. And have you always been this kind of parent, Lenore, or was this a stretch for you?
It was a little bit of a stretch in that, the first time your kid does anything, and like I was saying about that, like say you had your kid take the bike ride for the first time, or even when you drop your kid off at kindergarten the first time, it's not a shiver that goes down your spine, but it is a little like, oh, this is something. It wasn't nothing, put it that way. But in terms of have I always been what kind of mom? I mean, I'd say I'm a rather safety-concerned mom. I mean, to the point where I really emphasize, like, you have to make the cars see you when you cross the street, and you have to take your iPod out of your ears when you cross the street. Now, I hear him muttering in the background saying, oh, my God, she sure is. When he turned 10, this little, ruffian of mine, we had a football party for him. And what did I give everybody as the present in the little goodie bag? I didn't give them candy. I didn't give them a toy. I gave them a protective mouth guard. Okay? I gave each kid, that was all they got, was this mouth guard. And I sat in the kitchen and I boiled water and I put and I made sure that the mouth guard, it fitted around the kid's teeth to make sure it would not get loose. So I'd say I'm not a cavalier mom at all, but I do live in a very safe city that looks very unsafe when you see it on TV. But
well, yeah, I mean, anyone who thinks about New York and the subway system, based on a lot of movies and things like that, we think it's an unsafe place.
Right. Well, that's the thing, that most people outside the city are basing it on the movies. But in fact, of the 25 largest cities in America, do you know which one is safest?
New York?
It's New York, yeah.
Really?
We are back to the crime level here.
Yeah.
Nationally, it's back to the crime level of 1970.
Yeah.
But in New York, we're back to the crime level of 1963. We have, like, the lowest murders on record since they started keeping records. So I didn't have the statistics in front of me when I let him take the subway ride, but I did know that the city, I'd lived in the city since 1981, so what is that, like 20-something years, and it had been getting steadily safer. And I could feel it, and I could see it, and I know the subways are always crowded, and so there's people around, and that's why I did it. I really trusted the safety of my city and the fact that there were a lot of people around, which I think keeps people more safe rather than less safe.
Well, Lenore, we need to take a quick break here, and I want to come back talking about stats and how, is it really more dangerous now than it ever has been? I know you've done some studies on that, and you have some information in your book. We're talking with Lenore Cjca, a syndicated columnist, speaker, and author of Free Range Kids, Giving Our Children the Freedom We Had Without Going Nuts with Worry. And we'll talk more about some of the stats that she has in this book and what this book is all about. Also, I want to ask this question to parents. How cautious are you when it comes to parenting your children? How long would you let your children out of your sight? Do you ever let your children out of your sight? And if so, for how long? And what's the circumstances? 780-430-9300 or 1-877-827-2346. And do you think my guest is totally nuts? And does she deserve the title America's Worst Mom? We're back with more right after this.